All right, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
hey, everybody. Well, you think you got enough promos there? All right.
Listen,
Listen. All right. Let's
yep,
get to it. Welcome to another edition of the J&J Sports Express for the divisional weekend in the NFL 2022. I'm your co-host Jeff Cadillac. As usual, my co-host for the evening is JB Ellis. JB, how you doing tonight?
doing good. Got another week of football.
Yeah, another week of football.
What?
Some games last week. You and I both went 4-2. I got to tell you, some ups and down games. And listen, Buffalo almost blew it. There's a couple of games we're going to talk about, but some exciting games this weekend. So let's get right to it. On the schedule, Saturday, you're talking 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. You got number 4 seeded Jags at the number 1 seeded Kansas City Chiefs. JB, who you like in this game? Kansas City is laying 8.5 points at home.
So, usual spot for Kansas City. They're used to being a top seed. They're used to having a high spread, and they usually don't cover. They tend to like to win ugly. It's a term that you like to coin on them. And Jacksonville coming back after a horrible first half last week, where they ended the half with a touchdown when they were down 27-0, went to half 27-7, ended up coming back to beat the Los Angeles Chargers 31-30. Team is playing with house money. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a lot more relaxed this week after his start last week in the playoffs. He knows a little bit about what it's like. Kansas City is going to do what Kansas City does. They're going to play their game. They're going to win, but it's not going to be 8.5 point spread. I think Jacksonville covers. Kansas City wins. What do you think?
I happen to disagree with you on this one. I happen to think that, first of all, I did a little research for the folks at home. Kansas City's first playoff game, they usually cover big time. During the season, you can't compare what they do during the season to what they do in the playoffs. It's a whole different ballgame. But the first playoff game that Kansas City usually plays, they are big time covers. They go all out for that first game. Now, Jacksonville, they definitely had a nice game last week. They were down 27-7 at halftime. They had 5 turnovers in the first half. Okay? 5 turnovers in the first half, you would think, okay, they're definitely losing that game. Chargers definitely contributed to the loss, without a doubt. They missed a field goal in the second half. It would have been 33-14. They missed, they played horribly in the second half. The team just didn't show up. But you got the Jags, yes, they're playing with house money, but you're playing against Kansas City. Now, these two teams played during the season, okay? The spread was 9.5. Kansas City was favored by 9.5. Kansas City really didn't take them that seriously, and during the game, Jacksonville missed 2 field goals. Now, I had liked Jacksonville plus 9.5, and of course, Kansas City ends up winning by 10, and those 2 missed field goals were a big deal. Kansas City really didn't take Jacksonville too seriously during the season, but believe me, they will take them very seriously this week in Kansas City. You got Kansas City as the number 1 total offense. They got the number 1 passing offense. Jags, number 27 pass defense. Okay, Kansas City has too many weapons on offense. If they don't go to JoJo Schuster, they don't go to Travis Kelce. They seem to find people at will. Mahomes is a magician. I like Kansas City. I like them winning by 14 points. Jacksonville has a lot to build on for next season. They still need a few players on both sides of the ball. I like Kansas City winning by 14 in this game.
Interesting. We tend to disagree here to start the week. I like it. So you're going to be 0-1 to start Saturday
Yeah, okay.
afternoon. Let's get to Saturday night, the game that I'm most interested in. I
Of
want to hear
course.
what you have to say about it.
Well, first of all, you got the number 6 seed of the Giants versus the number 1 seed in Philly. Listen, you and I both agreed last week, and I'll tell you why. The Giants. I liked the Giants big last week. I didn't think they were just going to cover. I thought they were going to win outright. Minnesota had a terrible defense, number 31 in the league rated. Giants played a perfect game. No turnovers, no fumbles, no missed, tackles, whatever. Dan Jones and Saquon Barkley, they played a perfect game. Now, Giants, they have a nice season. Nobody figured that Brian Dabble would even have a plus 500 record this season with the same guys that were basically on the team last season. He came in, he changed a lot of things, and he changed the culture. Week 1, you saw a change when they beat Tennessee and they went for the 2-point conversion. Now you also got Philly. They've had a couple of weeks to rest. They're the number 1 seed. Philly's got the number 1 total defense and the number 1 pass defense. Philly also has the number 3 total offense and number 5 rush offense, number 9 pass offense. I'm sorry, but this is where the Giants season ends. Philadelphia is going to be putting a hurt on the Giants. It's going to be like the Week 13 game where they won 48-22. First game out of the box. The Giants, listen, I give the Giants a lot of credit, but they were basically a 2-man offense last week against Minnesota. They put up 31 points. They had Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and they passed to Hodgins a number of times as well. That's not going to work with Philly. Philly had 70 sacks during the season and 17 interceptions. They are a swarming defense. They are not going to make any mental mistakes on the Giants. I see them winning by at least 14 points in this game. Giants had a nice season to build on. There's still a few players away on both sides of the ball. What do you think there, JB? I know what you're going to say. Basically, I saw you shaking your head while I was talking, but go ahead anyway.
Listen, the Giants won their Super Bowl already. Their season's over. They're not winning. I'm not going to sit here and say the Giants pull another upset. That's not happening. We beat the one of the top 3 seeds we could beat already. The Giants season is over. But if you're betting, which is what we're talking about tonight, you're taking the Giants. It's a division game. 3rd time they're playing them. Brian Dable is a good coach. He knows how to coach this team. They will come to play. They're not going to win, but it's going to be a close game. The Eagles are going to be tense. This is a must-win for them. They have to come out and perform. They're not going to be loose. The Giants have nothing to worry about. There's no worries on that team at all. No one expects anything out of them going to Philly. They're just going to play their game. Their defense is going to step up and play, do what they need to do. It's a division game. They know each other well. It's the 3rd time they're meeting this year. The Eagles are going to win. It's going to be a field goal, maybe a touchdown. That extra half point is the killer. That's why I want to do it. With 6.5, I'd be on the fence. 7.5, I'm taking the Giants all day. It was a great season, above expectations.
You didn't convince me.
Coach of the year there. But it comes down to division games. Games, anything can happen. The Eagles are going to be tight. We see this all the time.
JB, you haven't said anything that convinces me to even put money down on the Giants in this game. I gave you stats. I gave you reasons why Hurts and Miles Sanders and the offense, they're going to run all over.
Stats are for losers because the number 1 team does not win every year.
The last time that these guys played in Week 13, the Philadelphia Eagles ran for 253 yards. Okay?
Well, the last time they played was Week 17.
Right. And that was a game that they just played to win. It wasn't, a Philadelphia kind of game. This week, all the stops come out. They didn't want to hurt Hurts.
Why would this week be a Philadelphia-type game and the other one wasn't?
Because it's a playoff game now. Whether they won or lost, listen.
And who has all the pressure?
Philadelphia was up 16-0 at halftime in Week 18 against the Giants. Okay? All they had to do was keep that lead. They did enough to win. That's all they were looking to do. They weren't looking to pile it on. They knew they probably would face the Giants in the playoffs, so they did what they had to do. You don't want to upset certain teams. If they blew out the Giants in Week 18, the Giants would be pissed off and saying all kinds of stuff. They're not pissed off, but they know they played a good season. And the matchup for Philly is just a lot better. And that's why I think they're going to win by at least 14 points.
Not common for teams to destroy teams 3 times in a year. It's not happening. Listen, Philadelphia is the better team, but it's going to take them a quarter to get going. And by the time they get going, it's going to be a close, old school type NFC East battle. Jalen Hurts is going to have to get his footing. It's not going to be as easy as you think. They're not going to lose. I'm not sitting here and saying the Giants are pulling an upset. Don't by any means say that. But 7.5 is a lot of points.
Listen, the Giants played a perfect game last week. What are the odds they play a perfect game 2 games in a row? Not too high, okay? Especially against the Philadelphia defense that is like all over the place, okay? They played a perfect game against Minnesota. Minnesota had the 31st ranked defense. They were penetrable. Philly is not that team. You're talking about 2 different teams. That's why I think this is definitely Philly wins by 14 points. I'm sorry. Everybody's looking at the Giants, thinking that, yeah, what they did last week. It's not going to happen this week. I'd be very shocked.
Nothing to do with last week. It has nothing to do with last week.
Has a lot to do. A lot of people are riding the Giants. Just be thinking of that. Okay.
That's the wrong reasons. The reasons why, as I told you, it's a division game. Division games are not simple. They don't go according to script.
So when you Eagles, so far we disagree on both games. The next game,
I'm 2-0, and you're 0-2.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. Jarvis Landry. The third game, we're talking Sunday at 3:00. Third seeded Cincy at second seeded Buffalo Bills. 3:00 in the afternoon. Cincinnati is getting 5 points against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's laying 5. Who do you like here, JB, and why?
So I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Buffalo's going to end up winning, but it's going to be a field goal. Both these teams have phenomenal offenses, great quarterbacks. It's going to come down to who wants it more. I think Buffalo, Cincinnati got to the Super Bowl last year. Buffalo wants to get there. They have Hamlin, who's going to be, giving, I'm sure, a speech to the team. They're going to remember what happened in Cincinnati, even though it wasn't anything that Cincinnati did, obviously. It's still something fresh in their mind. They're going to want to go out there and win. They're going to have all the motivation behind them. Cincinnati is a tough team. Their offensive line's playing better. They have a nice mix of run and pass. Buffalo, on the other hand, they're a machine as well. And their defense is stepping up. I think I like Cincinnati to cover, but Buffalo to win here.
This game is one of the hardest games to figure out for me this weekend because it could go either way. Cincinnati and Buffalo didn't play good games last week. Cincinnati barely beat. That game could have gone either way against Baltimore. Baltimore, even with Tyler Huntley, they played a very good game. They only lost by 7. The spread at the time when we had looked at the game earlier in the week and then did the filming, it was -6.5, but the spread went up to 9.5. Cincinnati did not play a good game. They lost another one of their offensive line guys. Their offensive line is not as tight as it was a little earlier in the season. And Joe Burrow and company, they got to get the run game going. You can't have Joe Burrow back there throwing, 50 times. It's just not going to happen. They got to get the run game going. Buffalo also didn't play a good game. They're up 17-0 against Miami. And Josh Allen is just, screwing around, throwing interceptions. He's fumbling the ball. And, they played almost not to lose, and they almost lost. Now, if you looked at the stats just from the Buffalo-Miami game, just looking at the stats without looking at the score, you would think that Buffalo won the game 45-14 because the stats were so, Skylar Thompson went 18 for 45, 2 interceptions. I mean, it was ridiculous. But when you looked at the score, you say, oh, my God, what happened? 34-31 because Buffalo didn't even take it seriously. And that's the problem that Buffalo has. They sometimes let teams hang around. They're becoming almost like Kansas City. Kansas City lets teams hang around. It's a very dangerous situation because anytime a turnover or something happens, bam, you lose the game. What I like in this game is I like Cincinnati. I like the points. I think it's a 3-point game at most. I'd be very shocked if either team blows out either team. Buffalo and Cincinnati have very good offenses. They have a lot of very good playmakers on both sides. Cincinnati has, obviously, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Buffalo, We all know about Diggs. We also know what's his name came back, the other wide receiver,
Beasley.
Beasley. He also finds a way to get the ball. Josh Allen, he's a playmaker. But what Cincinnati needs to do, and like how they beat Kansas City last year, to stop Josh Allen from taking off, is they have to have that spotter. Trey Hendrickson has got to play that middle again. And if he plays that middle, Josh Allen's not going to be running like he is. You keep him in the pocket. Let them beat you that way. You don't want Buffalo beating you with Josh Allen running the ball. That's the last thing you want. That's what Cincinnati did against Kansas City and Mahomes. It worked. They got to do it again against Josh Allen and Buffalo. I like this game to be 3 points at the most. That's why I like Cincinnati with the points +5. We'll see what happens. I'd be very shocked if this game was a blowout on either side. But I like Cincinnati plus the points.
So we agree on that one. And which game are you more excited about on Sunday? The Cincy Buffalo or Dallas San Francisco?
Well, I like the next game. I like this game at 6 o'clock is 5-seeded Dallas at 2nd-seeded San Francisco 49ers. And I happen to like San Francisco in this game, laying 3.5. Dallas played a very good game last week, but they played against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's not really that good. We all, everybody got caught up in the Tom Brady thing. And, you look at who Tampa Bay beat during the season, they didn't beat anybody. They have a crappy record. They had 9-8, but they beat the NFC South and a lot of bad teams. San Francisco, there's a lot of things going on in this game what people have to understand. Dallas, yes, Dak Prescott played a very good game. No question about it. 4 throwing touchdowns. He ran for another one. The only thing Dallas didn't do was kick extra points. They missed 4 extra points. That's fine. The X factor for Dallas this week is Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons played a fantastic game against Tampa Bay on Monday night. Can he do it again against San Francisco? San Francisco is not Tampa. They got a lot of weapons on offense. San Francisco's X factor is Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa also, he's a disruptor. He gets in there. He sacks quarterbacks. He defends, passes, everything. He's very good at what he does. You got San Francisco's got the number 5 total offense, number 7 rushing offense, and the number 11 pass offense. But the kryptonite, you could call the Achilles heel for San Francisco is their pass defense. Their pass defense is number 20 in the league. That's something that Dallas could exploit. But I think what's going to happen is that San Francisco is going to make adjustments and make it not as easy for Dak as he thinks it's going to be. I like San Francisco in this game. I think they win by 7. Dallas had a nice season. They got finally a first road victory in the playoffs since 1992. San Francisco with Brock Purdy, and they got so many weapons. San Francisco's going to come out like crazy. You're going to get pumped for this game. I see them winning by at least 7. How do you like it, JB?
I'm with you. So we agree on Sunday. San Francisco's got too many toys on offense with Brock Purdy. He doesn't have to think too much. It's a simple game plan for him. Distribute the ball to all his weapons, and they can run the ball pretty well as on top of it. Their defense, one of the best defenses in the league. Dallas as well has one of the best defenses in the league, but the difference is Dak doesn't throws too many interceptions, and the San Francisco defense is phenomenal against the run. And what's Dallas's strength on offense? Running. And at the same time, even though it's their strength, they don't even use it properly. Dallas did, like you said, get their first road victory in the playoffs in ages. Finally beat Tom Brady. He was 7-0 against him. That's done. But when it comes down to it, I think San Francisco wins by a late touchdown. It's going to be a close game the whole way. It's not going to be a blowout, but I think San Francisco wins by a touchdown. I think that McCaffrey's going to have a big game, and Debo's going to be really good there. They have too many weapons. You got Kittles, Aya, Debo, McCaffrey. If you're Purdy, you just sit back there and look for what's available. You don't have to stress. You got a playmaker no matter where you put the ball.
Yeah, Brock, I got to tell you something. Brock Purdy, I mean, this guy has really stepped into, perfect situation, and he's playing perfect. It's like after the season, Jimmy G is gone, Trey Lance is gone, and it's Brock Purdy's show because he's the leader on this team. He really stepped into a situation, and he's really taking this team to the next level. And, Mr. Irrelevant, he's really shown that it's almost like there's no pressure on this guy.
No. He has a great supporting cast. He has one of the top 3 running backs in the league. He's got phenomenal wide receivers. He's got one of the top tight ends. Got a good offensive line.
But the thing is, he takes what the defense gives him. He's not trying to do too much. He's not trying to do too little. He knows his role in all this. And look, Jimmy G had the same thing, but he had the happy feet. And he got, Brock Purdy compared to Jimmy G. Jimmy G's gone definitely after the season. Who knows where he's going to go? Trey Lance, right now, if it's training camp next year, I'm taking Brock Purdy over Trey Lance. No question.
Yeah, I think it's Purdy's job unless he does something crazy in the playoffs. I can't see him not coming back as the starter next year. I like the 49ers to go all the way to the Super Bowl, so I think they keep rolling this week. Too many weapons, and that defense, it's got to be the best defense out there. No disrespect to the Dallas D, which is really good too.
San Francisco kind of just toyed with Seattle last week. They got out to a nice lead. It was 10-0, and they let Seattle take the lead at halftime, and it was 17-16. And San Francisco made some nice adjustments during the half. They came out in the second half. They blew out Seattle. Seattle, it was 41-17, and Seattle scored that dummy touchdown at the end to make it respectable, you could say, 41-23. But that was my pick of the week. I loved San Francisco. And, hey, folks, the pick of the week is coming again. So watch me on Jeff Cadillac 1 on Twitter, and you get another winner this week with the best bet.
So right now, 8 teams left. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who do you think?
I'm liking San Francisco. I think against Philly, it's going to be a tough game. We'll see how they both play this week. I don't want to make any real predictions. I want to see how these games go. I want to see how Philadelphia, takes care of the Giants this weekend. If it's a struggle, we'll see what's what come championship weekend.
You can change your mind next week. You don't have a feel right now what you think. You don't have a thought process already.
You know what? I haven't really thought about it right now, so I'm not really going to comment on. I'm just focused in on these games right now, and then see what's what after the weekend.
You're not carrying the ball for San Francisco. You're analyzing games here, Jeffrey. Let's do it.
I just gave you my, analysis right there. So
you sounded like you were in the press conference after the game. I'm looking forward to next week. We got the win this week. We're going to take it. We're going to enjoy it tonight, and then we're going to get ready for next week.
So where can we find you, JB?
JB_ the program on Twitter. Sideline Sports Tuesday 8:30. Here Wednesdays, and the South Florida Sports Exchange at 9 on Wednesdays. What about you?
Well, you can find me on my website at jeffcadillac.com. You can find me on Twitter at jeffcadillac1. Right here on Sideline Sports, J&J Sports Express on Wednesday nights. If Better Sports Network has changed their schedule a little bit, I'm looking to maybe come back on because Friday nights Rick Kamler's not on anymore, and Sportskeeda is done for the season. So, hey, if you really want to find some good analysis on the games, you can check my website and my best bet of the week on Twitter at jeffcadillac1.
When can they get that best bet of the week?
Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Usually Fridays, but maybe tomorrow just to throw it in there.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy the games. We'll see you next week. I know we've been a little bit off time the last couple of weeks, but you can catch us anytime on replay, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Just make sure you're watching. Make sure you follow. We'll see you later.